Well, once again, after a week's lapse because of Thanksgiving and Congress wasn't in session last week, we're back to the Ask Chuck webcast. I thank you all for participating. I welcome you. More importantly, I welcome your questions. We answer usually a couple questions orally, and other questions that come in we'll answer through mail or email. The first question comes from Matt, Cedar Rapids. Mr. Grassley, what is your position on the National Defense Authorization Act? Well, Matt, you probably need to ask me that at the end of this week because there's about 100 amendments pending, and until amendments are disposed of, you really don't know what the final bill is going to look like. But I do know this, that every year for decades, the United States Congress every year deals with the issue of what we call the Department of Defense Authorization Act. That Department of Defense Authorization Act is probably the only acts that normally sunset from year to year. Most other laws that are put on the books with programs to spend money tend to sunset after 3, 4, 5 years instead of every year. So it's pretty necessary because the national defense issues change from year to year. Situations around the world are not the same. So it's pretty necessary that you review defense policies every year. So the only thing I say, whether I like the bill or not, it's pretty important that we pass a defense authorization bill every year to keep our defenses up to date. The second question comes from BJ from Windsor Heights. Will unemployment benefits be extended for those in school being trained for high demand jobs? I would suggest to you that your issue of unemployment compensation is more general than will it be authorized just for those that are in job retraining. The issue is, will unemployment compensation be extended or not? My guess is that it probably will be, but there is the economic impact that some economists declare that, and some of them are famous Democratic economists as well, that say that when you extend unemployment compensation, it tends to keep people and the unemployment percentage higher than it normally would be if you didn't extend it. So we have to deal with the economics of whether or not unemployment compensation increase will maybe elongate the process of getting unemployment down. I don't think that issue is as strong as what we do otherwise in the economy to get unemployment down, which would be to have no new taxes, to put a moratorium on all regulations, to make sure that we get this fiscal deficit situation in the federal government under control, expand our trade through more free trade agreements, and to make sure that we drill here and drill now, so we use as much natural gas and petroleum that we can in this get in this country, as opposed to spending $830 million every day to import energy from overseas. I think those 6 things are what it's going to take to get unemployment down, but I still think that we have to consider that we don't expand unemployment because people collecting unemployment compensation may not be looking for jobs as strongly as if they were not receiving unemployment compensation. And that's not based upon my judgment, that's based on the judgment of labor economists. So that issue has to be dealt with, but my guess is that we will end up extending unemployment compensation. Now, the rest of this week we're going to be spending on this Defense Authorization Bill that I answered Matt's question about, and presumably that's going to take up all of this week. I invite next week, being here in Washington, your questions for Ask Chuck webcast. So we welcome your tweets, your email, and your Facebook questions. Thank you very much.